Welcome to the Healthy Habit Hot Seat, where we chat to extraordinary humans and world-leading health experts to dive deep into the intricacies of the daily habits that have shaped their success. Remember, success leaves clues, right? I'm your host and resident healthy habit coach, Loz Antonenko, and I cannot wait to help you re-energize your life so you too can create opportunity, vitality, and abundance to become the master of your own incredible healthy destiny. Now, let's get into today's conversation. Welcome back, Jordan Syatt, to the Healthy Habit Hot Seat. Super stoked to have you back on the show, mate, where today we're going to be diving deep into the nitty-gritty details of what it is that you do every day. And, mate, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat to us.
Of course. The first one was a pleasure. It was super fun. I'm excited for this.
Yes, let's do it. So you love to travel, and I'm pretty sure you've eaten some really diverse foods on the way. If you knew you only had 24 hours left to live, what would your day's menu look like?
The full day, like we're going to assume I have 3 meals?
Or whatever it is you want. You could have 10. I mean, I would have 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Saying.
All right, I'm going to try and keep this as brief as I can because we got to keep it under 30 minutes. So we'll go, I mean, because this could be like a long list of foods.
I agree.
But we'll go Belgian waffles.
Why?
Right? Belgian waffles for breakfast.
Why?
Like Belgian, why not?
Great answer.
Like Belgian waffles with ice cream, powdered sugar, syrup on it. Like it's a great breakfast. And maybe some pancakes as well. And then some cinnamon toast crunch on the side if we really want to go deep on it. That was a great wink, by the way. They can't see that, but that was a great.
Oh, they will. They'll see it.
Oh, do they? Is it on video too?
Yeah, man.
Got it. Okay. And then lunch will go pepperoni pizza, just like a great pepperoni pizza.
Like New York pizza though? Like New York?
Yeah, New York pizza. New York pizza tastes different than everywhere else in the world.
Because of the water.
Apparently that is because of the water. I Googled this the other day. I didn't know it, but yeah, apparently it's the water. Which was surprising me. I was in Florida and I had pizza and I was like, ugh, like why is this, like, how do they not know how to make pizza? And I Googled it and they're like, oh no, the water is actually, it hits the dough differently, I guess.
So it's literally something in the water.
Yeah, which is crazy. Literally. If you don't believe me, Google it. And then for dinner, I'd probably have, like a big mix of like a bunch of different proteins. So steak, lobster. You don't like lobster?
I'm salivating.
Oh, that's a good, got it. Yeah. Like steak, buttery lobster, maybe just like the whole like fisherman's platter type, like just a lot of different proteins and steaks and lamb and all that stuff.
And then that's it. Like that's how we end. That's how it ends.
Yeah. I mean, I already had like the dessert for breakfast. I think I'll be good there.
Nice, mate. Look, that's a very epic day. I think a lot of people will be jealous. I think some people will go out now and like have that day.
I would really like for dinner now to have steak and lobster. I think that would be, if I could get an ideal dinner right now, I'd love to go to that.
That's kind of why I was asking you just before, have you had dinner? Because you might start salivating. So from here on, we're going to get into the finer details of your day. Jordan, what would you consider your healthiest habit and why?
Oof, that's a great question.
Sure is.
I think my healthiest habit is flossing every day, non-negotiably.
Just once?
And at least once, sometimes more, but at least once. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but for me, flossing is a very easy thing to do that I didn't do for so many years. And it was like, why the fuck can't I just take 40 seconds to floss? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? And I think I might have used to say making my bed, because I make my bed every day too. But flossing your teeth is actually for your health. Like your gum health and oral hygiene is actually super important. There are many like reasons how that affects your health, but the habits that come as a result of that, it's like, you really can't fucking floss. And I'm talking to myself when I like, you lazy piece of shit. Like you really can't, it's good for you. Like I can't tell anybody Like, oh, really? You can't work out if I can't even just fucking floss when it's in my bathroom right now. It's like getting in the gym is way more difficult than flossing. And I've been flossing for a long time now, and I think it's a good habit that I've developed over the years. And now it's at a point where it's like, if I don't floss, I'm gonna feel like shit, which is great, just because like now, like mentally, I'll feel like shit if I don't do it. So I think it's probably one of my healthiest habits.
Such a trigger, man. And you have like an amazing set of pearly whites from what I can see here. Well
Thank
done.
you.
And that's great. Thanks for sharing, because that's such a simple habit. And I'm the same. Like I have all these little intricate things that I do every day. And I'm like, if you can't fucking do this one little thing, I'm the same. I floss every day. I've been flossing every day, twice a day for ages. And you're 100% on that. And if I don't floss, or if I don't make my bed, or if I don't follow some of the simple things that I've set up for myself, I'm like, how can you coach other people and tell them to do these big fuck off things when you can't do something as simple as that takes 30 seconds out of your day?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. That's nobody shared anything like that yet.
Yeah, it's true. And for whatever it's worth, I remember when I was in high school, I read a book by Dan John called Never Let Go. And I wasn't flossing in high school. And I remember in that book, Dan John was like, he's like, if you want to start a business, but you can't even be bothered to floss your teeth, fuck off. And he didn't say that in those words, but that's how I took it. And I still didn't even start brushing my teeth or start flossing my teeth. I was like, even after that. But after I did start flossing my teeth, I remembered that. And I was like, oh man, he was right. Like it seems like such an innocuous thing and almost like a pretentious thing to say, but it's true. It's like, if you can't even fucking floss your teeth, then why do you have other expectations of yourself to do things that are significantly more difficult than that? And you can't hold anyone else to a higher standard if you can't even floss.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. And it's a hierarchical approach. Like, start with the basic fundamental things in your life and then start to habit stack. So what's one habit you'd like to change?
One habit I would like to change.
There could be multiple habits, but just one.
Yeah, I would say, so I'll tell you something that I learned that I do in therapy, and I'll put a word to it. So one of the reasons I started doing therapy is because I was getting really anxious, and I couldn't figure out why. I knew that a lot of it was on social media, but I didn't know why. And I know a lot of people are like, I just need a social media detox, and like they just go off and that's fine, but they don't know why it's making them anxious. Like, what's going on? And so I was talking to my therapist about it, and I do something, and I think a lot of people do this. It's called catastrophizing, which is basically where like one thing happens and you immediately go to the worst case scenario. Like, you make it up in your head. You're like, oh, this happened, I'm going to ruin my whole business is lost. Oh, this happened, like I'm going to die, right? Like, oh, like whatever. And you immediately go to the worst possible case scenario. And that, at least for me, made me tremendously anxious. And so this is something I've been working on, where it's like, if I notice myself getting anxious because of something that happened, I immediately have to like be more objective and be like, okay, is this actually going to lead to me ruining my entire business as a result of it? Or like, am I being a little bit dramatic? And that's usually the case. Like, we usually think things are going to be way worse than they actually are. And so that's, for me, it's something I'm currently working on, but I still struggle with it. So if I could stop that completely, I definitely would.
Optimize your male and female hormones with Be Spunky and Be Genki supplements, choosing from Reboot for men, Balance for women, and Recover for performance, all containing natural and organic TGA-listed Australian-made ingredients. These nutraceuticals are designed to offer stress relief, improved strength and stamina, enhanced drive, and overall well-being, and I swear by them, so does my husband. Their active formulas are a unique blend of natural and organic herbs and active ingredients, and the highest performance leaders and trainers are already taking it. Why waste more time? Visit bespunky, bespunki.com.au and begenki, begenki.com.au. Use code LOZLIFE and save 10% at both sites. Yeah, thanks for being honest. And a lot of people can probably relate to what you just talked about. I'm a life coach and a PT, and amongst other things. And I deal with this all the time. People that catastrophize and ruminate and think about things that have happened in the past, and they keep focusing and focusing and focusing on it. And then likewise, catastrophizing is the opposite, where you think about things that haven't quite happened, or something's happened, become a trigger, all these things that haven't happened, and you're focusing on this stuff. And that's what anxiety is about. And I always say to my clients, you know, if you've got anxiety, who are you trying to please? You know, who are you trying to please? What is it that you're trying to think about that hasn't happened yet? Because you don't have any control over that, really.
Correct. Sort of like when, at least for my clients, when like they have a slice of pizza or whatever, and then all of a sudden they think they ruined all their progress. It's like, really? You think that one slice of pizza is going to ruin all the work you've put in over the last 16 weeks? It's like, relax. So I do the same thing in different areas of my life.
Yeah, right. Now, what unhealthy habits do you have? That's one you want to change? Is there something you may not want to change that you just do anyway?
One unhealthy habit that, well, you know, I think in terms of advice that I give but don't take is, you know, I train jujitsu 6 or 7 times a week right now, and I train through injuries with jujitsu. It's just like I'm at a point where I'm just like, I love it so much that, you know, I broke my rib, I broke my toe, I hurt my knee, and it's like I didn't stop once. And if someone else said, what do you think I should do? I'd say take a week off, like relax. But for me, I'm like, nope, I'm going. It's just like there's no way I want to stop. And I'm very willing and able to deal with the possible negative repercussions as a result of that. But it's I'm not willing to change it right now. So yeah, it's definitely an unhealthy habit that I have going on.
Dude, just to segue, we'll edit this out, but I just got diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. So
no.
Yeah. So I've got Crohn's disease. So podcasting's part of my journey as well. And it's interesting because what you've just said, I did 13 bodybuilding shows in 14 months a couple of years ago. Like fucking just.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude. When people read my story, they're like, who the fuck are you? I'm very much a high achiever, but I can actually relate to everything you say because I'm the same. Like I tell my clients don't train through shit. And I sell wheelie walkers. I have a lot of businesses. One of them I sell rehab aids for a living. So rehab and mobility aids. I sell wheelie walkers and wheelchairs and stuff. And I'm like, I can't ever be in a wheelchair, right? But the other week, my hip was so bad, I literally had to bring home like an old person wheelie walker home. Do you know why? Because I fucking went for a run. So my rheumatologist, my specialists are like, you have to stop trying to prove to yourself that you can do shit still. And I think you can relate to what I'm talking about. Like,
absolutely.
When you hurt yourself, like I'll be in chronic pain. You're like, fuck no, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go like do some HIIT or something because I used to be able to do this, you know, but I'm no spring chicken anymore. So, but you do it anyway. It's called cognitive dissonance when you know you shouldn't do something, but you do it anyway. So thanks for sharing. I mean, that's a true thing that a lot of us high achievers do. We just push ourselves. Our brains will take us there, but our bodies sometimes can't keep up.
Yeah, logically we know what the right answer is, but emotionally we're like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Thank you. You kind of, yeah. Anyway, I know I'm not the only person that does that stupid shit. Okay, I'm going to move right on. So guys, just edit that out, or not. So Jordan,
that was a good clip. We should keep that. I think that was a good clip.
I know. Look, and my team are really cool. They'll just come through and be like that. There was some golden nuggets in there. Do you have some sort of morning routine? Like a ritual, or is there like a set thing that you do? I have a lot of guests that have been on like, nah, I have no routines, but I think most of us intricately do follow like a pattern.
Yeah, I do. And my pattern has changed over the years, right? I've had many different routines, right? It's not just, I haven't followed one since July 2011 when I started my business, right? A lot of it's depended on who I was living with, where I was living, what I was passionate about at the time, what I really wanted to focus on. So right now, my routine is I wake up every day at 7:30. I go to jujitsu and I start by 8. I'm done by 9, but I stay for about 15, 20 minutes just to watch the next session after me, just to pick up different things that they're working on. Then I come back to my apartment and so it usually goes on Monday, it would go jujitsu, then therapy every Monday, which I really like that because I start off the day being very humbled by someone choking me out and like just making, hey, just remember, like, you know, if you start your day off by someone choking you out, then any problem you have the rest of the day seems relatively insignificant. So Monday always starts with jujitsu and then therapy, which I like because then from therapy I can be a little bit like let go of all the stuff I've got going on and get some better perspective. But then after jujitsu on any other day, I write down my goals for the day. And I think when most people would look at my list of goals, it might look like a to-do list, which is essentially what it is, because I think there are two different types of goals generally. Like, and there are many different types, but I break it down into, you have your objective-based goal, which is what you want to achieve. So like, I want to lose 25 pounds, or like, I want to deadlift 400 pounds, whatever it is, or I want to have 20 clients, whatever your objective-based goal is. Then you have your action-based goal, which is what are you actually going to do in order to achieve that goal? And it doesn't mean what are you going to do in order to achieve it today, but eventually what's going to happen? So I write down my action-based goals for the day, which is, it doesn't look like anything fancy, but like post on Instagram 3 times, or like post on Twitter twice, or record a podcast. And so as soon as I do any one of those things, I cross it off. And it's essentially a to-do list, but I call it my goals, my daily goals, and they have to be done. Not every day do I cross out every single thing. Ideally, the goal is for me to cross out all of them, but I'd say probably 80% of the time, I'll only accomplish 70 to 80% of it. But over the course of years, that's a fuck ton of stuff done. And I don't allow myself to write any more than 5 things every day. So it's just those 5 things. I think a lot of times people will write down like 50 things that they have to do, and then they don't do anything, or they do maybe one, because it's a huge list. But when the list is 5 things, it's relatively easy to get started.
Yeah, I do a very similar thing. I actually call it a success list, but same structure, you know, like you have these long-term visions and then you chunk it down into daily actionable tasks. And I think that is a morning routine in itself. I think for you, like you've got your jiu-jitsu, you're sort of getting like your physical stuff met there, like, and you're dealing with physical challenges and going, you know, how do I problem solve this? And then you're literally taking that to a therapy session. That's a bloody awesome setup, mate.
Yeah, I love it. It helps a lot.
Yeah. And then you've got all of your actionable tasks that you're doing every day, and you just, you know, plugging away at things and you're learning all the time. With sleep, do you have like a sleep routine, and how many hours per night do you think that you're getting on average?
So this is something that has changed a lot over the years. And so actually, if you go watch, I made a YouTube video at the beginning of 2020, basically my goals for 2020. I wanted to like talk about what my goals were, and it sort of explained action-based goals versus objective-based goals. So when I was coaching Gary Vaynerchuk, my sleep was awful. It was really bad. Traveling, if he was in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong, right? If he was in London, I was in London. If he was in LA, I was in LA, 7 days a week for 3 years straight. And basically I was like, I was in different time zones all the time. I spent more times in airplane and hotels than I did actually in my own apartment.
Wow.
And I was working nonstop. And so honest to God, there were several nights a week, every week, that I would pull all-nighters, like every single week. And then the other nights, if I got 4 to 5 hours, it was a good night. And at the beginning of 2020, when I stopped coaching Gary, I was like, you know what? Like, this is one of my major goals is, number one, no all-nighters the entire year. I did not want to do another all-nighter, and I want at least 7 hours of sleep every night. And I can honestly say I've done that the entire 2020, which has been great. I get at least 7, usually 8, sometimes 9 hours. My routine is like right now, it's funny, this past year, even though there's been so much bad stuff that's come along with it, I think one of the best things is I've actually spent less time working and more time resting and recovering and sleeping. So, you know, I'm in bed usually by 10, and my fiance and I, we watch a TV show and then we go to bed. And I didn't have a TV in my apartment for the last decade. I never had a TV, and we bought one during lockdown because I was like, fuck it, let's get a TV and like just relax. So for me, it's I'm in bed by 10, watch a TV show, then go to bed. So usually sleep from like 11 to 7:30, and that's it.
Do you use any sort of biohacks to get you to sleep, or do you use any sort of technology throughout your day to improve the quality of your life at all?
Trying to think. I mean, I take supplements just like I take vitamin D. I think vitamin D is super important, especially like right now we have no vitamin D. I'm very minimalist with a lot of this stuff. I think the best thing to help me like just feel better is working out. to be honest. It's like me getting my workout in is my mental health and a part of my mental health. And also I sleep way better when I crush a workout versus when I don't. And I can feel it. Like if I don't work out, I'll get into bed and I'll be restless, and I can feel waking up the next day it wasn't as deep of a sleep. But if I get a workout in, even if I just do, like I'm pointing right here just because I outfitted an entire gym in my tiny New York apartment. It's small, but I've got like, I'll show you, like it's just got an exercise bike.
All right.
Kettlebells, dumbbells, med balls. It's not like outrageously extensive, but it's all you need
in
a small New York apartment. So doing that is really, even if it's just like literally like a 4-minute sprint on the bike, I feel way better.
Yeah. And exercise is like nature's biohack anyway. Like it's all we really need. There's so much benefit just to exercising mentally and physically. What's your most ambitious goal for 2021? And how are you going to make it a reality?
That's a good question. I think realistically, it's probably moving to Israel.
Wow.
That's so. When I started coaching Gary, I was living in Israel. I was living in Israel for several years, and I moved from Tel Aviv to New York to coach Gary. And I started coaching Gary on June 1st of 2016. And in my mind, I was like, on June 1st, 2019, I will be moving back to Israel. Like that was my plan. But, I met my girlfriend and then now fiance. And she doesn't speak Hebrew, and like all this stuff happens, right? Where it's like, all right, well, I guess that's not going to happen just yet. But it's always been something I've wanted to do. My main concern has been, she doesn't speak the language. She doesn't know anybody there. Like that's going to be a really difficult transition for her. And I don't feel comfortable putting her in that situation. And about a month ago, she was like, I think we should move to Israel. And I was like, because I took her there last year for her birthday and she fell in love with it. Like she absolutely loved it. And I told her, I was like, you're not going to know anybody. You're not going to know the language. I moved there once and like, it was very difficult. And she was like, well, at least we can try it. So I was like, you know what, like, great. So we have our lease here for another year. And then the plan is to move to Israel and give it at least a 3-month shot.
Yeah.
If at the end of 3 months, she's like, I can't do this, which is a very real possibility, then great, we'll move back. And if not, then we'll stay there for however long we want, which is, I'm very excited about it. I feel like for me, Israel is the place, like New York is where I'm the most productive for my business. Israel is where my heart is happiest. Yeah.
And that's super important. I think we evolve, and it's really important to recognize that's where we're at and meet ourselves there and go, this is this chapter of my life. This is like productivity chapter. Give it, 1010%, and then go, cool. That served me now. Where else do I feel like I need to be served?
Correct.
Now let's just talk about this week. What's the one thing you're going to be focusing on, and what measures are you going to be putting in place to give it some energy?
This week, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. So, I mean, number one, I have a jiu-jitsu competition coming up in a little less than 4 weeks. So preparation for that, for my membership site, working on building up a new app. So working on that. I do 2 to 3 podcasts every day. So like working on those. If I had to pick just one thing that I really was going to focus on this week, that's a really good question. I would say probably my nutrition is really going to be the one thing that really, because I had a jiu-jitsu competition about a month ago, about 3 weeks ago, and I cut weight for that competition. I lost like 20 pounds. And then I've been a little bit more relaxed over the last couple of weeks. Just, I wanted to take a couple of weeks off. But now with a little less than a month before my next one, I've got to rein it back in again. So that being just being a little bit more aware of what I'm eating, planning the meals out, making sure I'm hitting my protein and my calories. And that's probably where my main focus is going to be.
Nice. So for anybody that's interested in learning more about what it is that you do, what it is that you stand for, where can they suggest? Fucking hell. Scrap that. Oh my God, I need a coffee. Okay. Let me just start that question again. For anybody in our audience who's interested in learning more about what it is that you do, where can you suggest that they start?
I would say probably my podcast, the Jordan Syatt mini podcast, and my YouTube, Jordan Syatt, and my Instagram, Syatt Fitness. I think those 3 places would be great. I think Instagram is the place to go if you aren't really sure you want to be invested yet. YouTube and podcast would be like, all right, like I really want more nuance. I want to really understand the deeper details of what's going on. That's one of the reasons I love podcasts so much, right? It's like a lot of people on Instagram, they'll double tap something without reading it, even though it's a tiny caption. But a podcast, 30, 45, 60 minutes, like they're really taking the time to listen. And that's where I can go deep. And it's like you and I, we've never met before. We've never spoken before, but like we can have a really amazing conversation because we have this opportunity. So I think podcast is my favorite.
Nice. So guys, please go and follow Jordan on Instagram. Get yourself hooked up with this podcast. It's a pretty cool little podcast. It is a mini podcast. It's not really though. And Jordan dives deep into a lot of, yeah. And, you know, don't take the name as gospel, but I just really want to thank you so much, Jordan, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share some of the daily intricacies of your life and the things that have been challenging for you and your successes along the way. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. We could just talk forever. Thank you so much, Jordan. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you. I loved it.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on the Healthy Habit Hot Seat. Make sure to visit lozlife.com where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, I'd be stoked with a 5-star rating on iTunes. Better still, tell a friend and share the love. If you loved this episode, you might want to check out my book, The Healthy Habit Handbook, available in softcover, ebook, and audio form on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Balboa Press, and all good bookstores. Be sure to tune in for our next episode for your fortnightly dose of inspiration from some of the world's most successful and healthy lifestyle masters. Remember, stay inspired. I'm Loz Antonenko, and ciao for now.